This is a very big day, everybody. We're covering Dynasty in College Football 25. The trailer just dropped. I enjoyed watching that. And now we've got this absolute behemoth of a deep dive article to go through. I don't know that I'm going to get to all this information in just one video. I will certainly try. But there's so much to go through here, so much detail in Dynasty Mode. I'm so excited, guys. We're 2 weeks away from the early release of this game. I have not gone through all this. I did not read this whole Dynasty encyclopedia yet, but we're going to go through it together. I'll give my thoughts, and by the time I finish the article, the game's probably going to be out already. But please, leave a like if you're enjoying the College Football 25 news videos. There'll be a lot of content when the game drops, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's begin. So I'm not going to read absolutely everything in here. I want to touch on the most important things, but basically, early on they talk about how they went about seeing what the community wanted in Dynasty Mode. And so they read through a bunch of tweets, watched wishlist videos, and really built those core pillars around build your coach, build your program, and deliver the world of college football. So, build your coach. This encompasses the decisions you make on your coaching journey to the top of the college football world. Whether that's starting as a coordinator at a small school and making a name for yourself before getting that first head coaching job, or starting as a head coach at your dream school. They showed in the trailer there is a coaching carousel. You can be a coordinator. That's similar to what we saw in games like NCAA 14. As the old saying goes, to win in college football, it's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes. Recruiting is the lifeblood of college football, and having a consistent winner means you need a roster that is built to reload rather than rebuild. That all starts on the high school recruiting trail, but in modern college football, roster retention and utilizing the transfer portal are instrumental in your ability to field a championship team. And for delivering the world of college football, a lot has changed over the last year, let alone the last 11. From the new 12-team college football playoff to conference realignment, we set out to recreate the ever-changing world of college football within Dynasty and provide you the tools to customize your experience. Underlying our three core pillars was one singular motto: satisfy the core community. Because this is their game. So what do we got here? We have a screenshot, Colorado and Colorado State. And by the way, the UI has looked extremely good, especially stacked up to a game like Madden. I think that all the menus and everything has looked so clean, modern, and just nice to look at, I guess. But this looks to be one of the main screens inside of Dynasty Mode. In the upper left, you have your actions, and then a few other tabs that show your team, stats, and Dynasty Central. But the play game is on your weekly to-do list. That is the big task. And then you've got top stories and recruiting. So let's talk about building the coach. Your journey to the top of college football starts with your coach. We wanted this to be meaningful and allow you to experience the coaching journey that no other sport can provide. We met with college football coaches and experts and started breaking down real-life coaches on the whiteboard. What was their identity? What made them great? What was their journey to get where they are today? What we found was that both current and former coaches broadly fit into three main categories: recruiters, motivators who maximize the potential of their players, and tacticians who out-scheme their opponents with on-field X's and O's. There were a number of coaches who were more of a hybrid between two categories. For example, there were coaches who were great at both recruiting and X's and O's. After breaking down hundreds of coaches, two things were loud and clear: no coach was great at everything, and there's no single path to being a great coach. What about the greatest coaches of all time? Even they weren't great at everything and needed their coordinators. Let's look back to 2013. Alabama's offense had fallen behind. The world of college football offenses was changing, and it was changing quickly. They had to pivot and change their entire philosophy, bringing in an offensive guru who transformed Alabama offense and put the program on an entirely new trajectory, playing in the 6 of 8 national championships while creating multiple first-round drafted quarterbacks. So for the coaching experience, we have, just like the real world, no coach could be great at everything. A rock, paper, scissors relationship between coach types with no dominant progression path. And coordinators and how you build your staff matter. Coach progression. This all starts with playing games. As you play, you will complete coach goals that award XP. Once you earn enough XP, you will level up your coach up to a max of level 50 and are awarded coach points. Coach points can be used to upgrade your coach's abilities. The Coach XP categories are single game, weekly, season, and career goals. Draft. Pro draft goals based on which round your player is drafted in. Game. Individual game goals that range from things like interceptions, rushing touchdowns to a full game result. Beat your rival, top 25 team, win a national championship. For recruiting, determined by your success on the recruiting trail. Goals can be specific to a single prospect, like signing a 5-star or having the best recruiting class in the country. Stats, weekly goals, like ranked in the top 10, season stat goals, like 4,000 team passing yards, you get it. And I love that they're going to allow you to see, like I love looking at stats in games like this, but being able to see like just how many interceptions do we have in the coach career, first downs, wins, and just having all that information there is sick. I love that. So here we've got the numbers that each one is awarded, and then under the coach's name, you've got the coach level. We got job security on there as well, but these are all individual game goals. Each time you complete a goal in-game, you will receive a notification in the top left, and that will indicate the XP that you are getting. And then at the end of a week, you're going to have your experience bar, like if you were playing an RPG or something, and that is pretty cool to see. I'm guessing that gives you a breakdown of everything that you earned in that week. And now we've got coach archetypes. We're introducing a new archetype-based ability system, similar to traditional RPG classes, which means I'm going to make my coach a stealth archer. All coaches will start with a base class or coach archetype, which can be thought of as your special ability in a traditional RPG. From your base archetype, you can progress in multiple ways. You can become an expert in a single category like recruiting, where you become an elite recruiter on the recruiting trail. Or you can be a hybrid coach who is strong in multiple areas. So it reminds me of NCAA 14, how you had a few different coaching trees, and you do like game management things, and you would also have the recruiting tree. The ultimate goal is to become a program builder or CEO atop the college football world. Achieving an elite archetype like program builder or CEO is a combination of on-field success and ability progression, and there is no single formula to reach these statuses. So there are 11 different archetypes, each with their own focus and perks. I'm skimming through a lot of this, trying to get to the actual new information, but here are some backstories you can have. Each archetype has a set of prerequisites and objectives that have to be completed to purchase them. For example, to become an elite recruiter, you must spend 50 coach points in the recruiter archetype and sign 2 top 5 recruiting classes. Once these goals are met, the archetype becomes available for purchase with coach points. When creating your coach, you will select which base archetype you want to start with. The other 2 will then be available for purchase with coach points without the need to meet any additional requirements. Purchasing an archetype unlocks new sets of abilities and opportunities in the coaching carousel. Each archetype has a perk when it is active. For example, Tactician has the Winner perk, which awards additional coach XP every time you win a game. Your active archetype is automatically determined. If you own the Program Builder or CEO archetypes, they will always be your active archetype regardless of how many coach points you spent in other archetypes. If you do not own these, your active archetype is the archetype that you have spent the most coach points in. I'm saying archetype too many times. All owned coach abilities are always on, regardless of which archetype is currently active. Progress can be viewed in the coach abilities screen. I noticed this menu in the trailer, and it looked different than anything I've seen in these games. So we got a screenshot here of a coach who is a CEO archetype, and that gives additional XP for winning bowl games and national titles. Looks like Motivator is one of the coach abilities, a culture setter who is strong in player development, and the archetype perk is Master Motivator, and the unlock is having 5 players drafted and spending 50 points on Motivator. So it looks like these coach abilities are going to be a big part of Dynasty, and there are more than 50 of them. Each ability can have up to 4 tiers. No longer is a coach great at recruiting across the board. Now coaches will specialize in specific position groups, making your staff composition that much more important. And overall, I like the idea of not being able to be great at everything. I think that is bad for a sports game. I think when you can have maxed out everything, you kind of lose your identity, and strengths and weaknesses give coaches, in this case, more personality. Are you a quarterback whisperer? Are you great in the trenches and committed to the no-fly zone? How does your staff complement you? In addition to position-based boosts, there are also coach abilities with core gameplay effects so you can really cook. For example, the Scheme Guru archetype focuses on your gameplay style. If you are a coach who likes to play fast, you can upgrade fast tempo offense, providing you with the following boosts. At Tier 1, offensive players fatigue slower and hurry up. And then when you unlock 2, increase delay to defenders looking at the sideline at the snap. At 3, team composure boost for first down gained while running hurry up. And the last tier, number 4, chance to see the defense's coverage shell in hurry up, which is similar to what we talked about in a previous CFB 25 video with the quarterback field general abilities and how they're differentiating the inexperienced to the experienced quarterbacks. You can also make your team a well-oiled machine who doesn't work against themselves and is unfazed by rowdy home field crowds, upgrading the discipline and communication ability. So for this one, Tier 1, slight reduction in crowd noise impact on the road. At Tier 2, it's a significant reduction. At Tier 3, offensive players commit slightly fewer penalties. I'm curious, that's one thing, I haven't really thought about is how they've gone about thinking about penalties in this game, and if we're going to have a football game that features more pre-snap infractions, holding calls, and will players on the road be more apt to those like mental mistakes or penalties? Haven't really heard much about that. But then Tier 4, offensive players commit significantly fewer penalties. It feels like sports games, football games, have been on this one for perpetuity. And I'd love to see penalties have a little bit more of an impact. There are defensive counters to all of the offensive play style abilities. If your defense is looking a little sus, I'm feeling old just reading this, or you are tired of getting punched in the mouth by a physical ground and pound team, upgrade your ground and pound defense to become a stout run D. The program builder and CEO archetypes are different in that they are only available to head coaches. The abilities within them are diverse and range from roster management and program culture to home field advantage and recruiting pipeline boosts. So here we've got a coach ability for recruiter, and this is specifically on the run game. I'll be buying this one early. So this is for halfbacks and fullbacks. At Tier 1, they take less time to fully scout. Pretty simple. Tier 2, recruiting actions give a bonus to running backs. Tier 3, increase weekly recruiting hours for running backs. And the last one is increase starting interest from running backs. I think that those tiers make sense, and I do like the sound of that. It seems like there's going to be a lot more to manage here than we've really seen in any of these games when it comes to your coach. The new Madden games have coach skill trees and whatnot, but this seems like something you could spend a lot more time on and a lot more planning on how you're going to try to build your coach and what you want to be good at, because you have to be a little more strategic, and there's just so much more to it, factoring in things like recruiting. So how about coordinators? Both coordinators and head coaches have the same set and abilities and archetypes available to them, leading to natural progression from coordinator to head coach. So if you're playing as like an offensive coordinator, you can be just as engaged as you build that coach and make them more of a head coaching candidate down the road. All of the abilities your coaching staff has stack together, increasing the effect of an ability. Okay then. Abilities owned by the head coach have the greatest impact. The impact of a coordinator ability depends on whether or not the ability is related to their side of the ball. For example, a defensive coordinator having the quarterback icy veins ability, boosting your quarterback's composure, will have a much smaller effect because they're a defensive coordinator. Your coordinators will automatically progress their archetypes and abilities. You will not be able to control which abilities they purchase. So they're kind of in their own little world then, getting, focused on what they need in their coaching career, not just helping your team for the long term, because coordinators don't plan on sticking around forever with you. You will not be able to respec your coordinator's abilities, which means you can't reset their tree and then just build them up in the way that suits your team the best. I think that is a really good design choice on their part. You can view the abilities your coordinators own from within coach abilities by tabbing left and right. Each coach has a unique spider graph based on the abilities and archetypes they own. Pressing R3 will overlay all 3 coach spider graphs. So you can see that here, and I'm guessing the head coach is probably, well, I don't know if it's the yellow one or not, but you can get an idea. There's some overlap when it comes to this spot over here. And also, there's somebody really helping out this area here for Master Motivator. That's probably the head coach. Dude, this is nuts. And I'm like, I might be a 6th or 7th of the way through this article. There's so much to talk about. We've only talked about like coaching abilities. This is wild. Climbing the coaching ladder. It all starts when you sign your first contract. When creating your dynasty, you'll have the option to select if you want to be a head coach, OC, or DC. Coordinators have performance expectations just like a head coach. All roles will have full control of recruiting and be able to play both sides of the ball during gameplay. So that's an area where I'd like to have some choice. Maybe there is. But if you're a defensive coordinator, you can still play the entire game and recruit. But I think it would be fun to have the option to just focus on offense or defense, which I believe was how the coaching carousel worked in NCAA 14, but that ended up being about the only thing I didn't interact with in that game, just playing regular old head coach Dynasty the entire time. Each time you start a new coaching job, you're asked to sign a contract, and that'll have a length and performance expectation. Failure to meet those expectations result in bad things happening, that's firing, which I imagine will be able to be toggled on or off. But if there was ever a game to leave it on and just let things play out, it's definitely a college football game. So school expectations are determined by their team prestige and program standing. The better the school, the higher the expectations. Job security will fluctuate throughout the season based on results of your games and whether or not you are trending towards meeting your contract expectations. If your job security gets too low, you will end up on the hot seat, and if your seat gets too hot, you'll be fired looking for a new coaching job in the carousel. Alternatively, meeting or exceeding your goals result in increased job security. Of course, if you don't like the possibility of being fired, you can always turn it off in the Dynasty settings. So there you go with that. Job security is a function of your ability to meet your contract expectations. Each win and loss counts. With that being said, not all wins and losses are created equal. Beating a higher ranked team will have a larger impact than beating a generic FCS team. Similarly, losing to an FCS team is not a good look. All coaches also have a prestige letter grade that ranges from A+ to F. Coach prestige is reflective of your ability to meet contract expectations adjusted for the school and role that you have. For example, meeting expectations and winning 5 games at a small school will have a significantly smaller impact than winning the SEC championship at a traditional powerhouse. At the end of your contract, the school will evaluate whether or not they want to extend based on your performance. And if you're offered an extension, you'll be notified The school has decided to extend your contract and it will be automatically accepted. Don't worry, automatic acceptance does not mean you are unable to change jobs. You can leave for a new job via the coaching carousel at any point in your contract, regardless of your current contract status. So you can build up that small program, say you're never going to leave, and the next day you're the head coach at Texas baseball. That is college athletics. We auto-accept extensions to protect you. Not that Texas A&M is small, but that came into my mind midway through the sentence and everything. But you can do the same thing. We auto-accept extensions to protect you from inadvertently changing jobs if you sim past the contract extension without interacting with it. Your current coach contract and job security can be accessed from the Coach tab of the Dynasty Hub. When viewing your contract, you can see your current and past season job security, contract expectation, and your season-by-season results for the last 20 years. When signing your contract, you'll have the opportunity to look at the last 20 years to see the kind of program you're taking over. So this was a screen similar to the one in NCAA 14. I always liked this screen, just being able to see your year-over-year success. Did you win a bowl game? How did you do? I think that's something good they kept over from NCAA 14. Coach Carousel. By the way, I think this is going to be multiple videos. I think recruiting is going to need its own thing, and this coach thing is so much more in-depth than I ever imagined. So stay tuned for another video today. We are milking this, all right? I'm not even hiding it. Coach Carousel. Following the 2021 to 2022 college football season, two high-profile schools in LSU and USC were looking for new coaches. Both schools did what nobody saw coming and hired elite coaches from other high-profile schools. Suddenly, other high-profile jobs were unexpectedly available, and the coaching carousel was in full effect. In CFB 25, we set out to recreate the chaos that is the college football coaching carousel, along with the domino effect it brings. Now, instead of happening over a single week, the coaching carousel takes place over the course of 5 weeks, from conference championship week to the end of bowl season, just like the real world. Additionally, the carousel is now an asynchronous experience where each user can evaluate their offers without the need to wait on someone else. That way, in your multi-user online dynasty, the entire carousel experience won't be held up because you are sitting around waiting for your friend to get on and evaluate their job offer, only for them to tell you they want to stay at their current job. They mentioned, by the way, in the trailer that Dynasty will have 30 seasons and accommodate up to 32 users, I believe. That's pretty big, which would also have the same structure as Madden, so that makes sense. How many of you are looking to do online Dynasty? I'm sure you got a lot of friend groups that haven't been able to do this for a long time, and I can't wait to see the fun everybody's going to have with this game. Things are looking pretty good right now. Feeling good at the moment, guys. Morale seems high. How does the coach carousel work? The carousel kicks off during conference championship week, and during this week, all coach contracts are processed, and schools determine if they want to fire, extend, or let a coach's contract expire. If your school has decided to fire or extend you, you'll receive an action item notifying you of the news. If you are the head coach, you'll also be able to fire your coordinators during this week. So that's one thing we couldn't do in 14. Coordinators would kind of just be fired automatically if they didn't perform well, or they'd be hired away, and then coordinators were automatically assigned to you, which didn't feel great not having any control there, but it did bring in an element of, the coaches in that game did matter. They had good boosts, and sometimes you'd have to start over. Not that that's important right now. Let's talk about this game. Once you advance the week and arrive in bowl season, the first round of offers go out. If you received any job offers, you'll be notified via an action item titled View Job Offers. If you did not receive any offers, you'll have a generic action item titled Coach Carousel. Pressing the action item will take you to the Coach Carousel screen where you can view any offers you have, as well as job offers or open jobs around the country. Just because you didn't receive any offers in the first week or didn't like the offers you received doesn't mean your carousel experience is over. Remember, the coach carousel takes place over the course of multiple weeks. They said 5. The first week of bowl season is just the beginning. As coaches hire and poach schools or coaches from other schools, their previous jobs become available as an unexpected job opening. So that was visible in NCAA 14. I did not often actually watch the carousel because I guess I didn't fully understand it at the time. But this sounds like it is a similar setup to where you can just visually see what teams have openings, how they're replacing them, and just the domino effect. When viewing a job offer, you will see the school's new coach preferences, what happened to their previous coach, and who the top candidates are for the job. You will also see the contract they are offering you and what the expectations are. Once you accept an offer, you will stay with your current school until after the national championship, which is when all job changes are processed. This allows you to take one last ride with your current team and coach any bowl games they play in. That's wild. So, you can be at that small school, accept an offer at a larger school, but still play your bowl game with that smaller team. That's really neat. I wasn't even thinking of that as an expectation. That's awesome. There will be a countdown in the top right of the Dynasty Hub informing you how many weeks are remaining until you change jobs. If you accept a head coach position, you will be able to manage your staff and hire coordinators at your new school during the rest of the carousel. If you were fired or your contract expired and you do not accept a new job before the end of the carousel, you will be automatically placed on a new team after the national championship. First off, I think that's awesome that you can also still build out a staff before you even change teams. And then kind of their fail-safe here at the end of Coach Carousel, if your contract expires or you're fired and don't take a new job, you're just given a new one so that Dynasty can continue. I'm not sure that there's anything in this game like in Madden where you can end up making a whole brand new coach for yourself. It seems that when you make a coach here in Dynasty, that's your coach for that mode and the rest of it. How do schools determine who they want to hire? Each school has a persona. This determines what they are looking for in their next coach. So here's the criteria. We got coach level. The more powerful they are, the more abilities they have, and schools are always looking for the highest caliber coach they can find. Scheme. Certain schools, like the military academies, want a coach who runs a specific style. That is so cool. So, are we going to see the military academies, stick with their schemes then when we're playing? And hopefully, unlike NCAA 14, the option schools don't just become the best because simulation seems to like them. Archetype. Schools have a preference on the type of coach they're looking to hire, just like the real world. Blue Bloods prefer elite coaches who are a program builder or CEO. Pipeline. All coaches have a primary pipeline providing a boost in recruiting. This is meant to simulate an area of the country where they have strong ties and relationships in recruiting. Schools prefer coaches whose primary pipeline is the same as one of the school's recruiting pipelines. So that's cool. Pipeline seems to be then separated. It's not just on the coach level, but the school also has their own pipelines, which I don't know if those will change or not, but that's neat. Coach prestige. A coach's prestige is compared against the school's team prestige. A 5-star program is not going to hire a coach who is mid and only a C- coach prestige. With that being said, I wonder what that road, if you start at a very small college of some sort with a brand new coach, I wonder how many jobs and how much success it would really take to then take over an Alabama, LSU, Ohio State down the road. Together, these form an overall school fit score, and that's used to generate a list of candidates. So they got all that criteria, and they're seeing who scores the highest. That's a good way of doing it. Game theory and the domino effect. It is important to keep in mind the domino effect when you are evaluating whether or not to accept an offer. Just because a job isn't open today doesn't mean it won't be available next week. You can view all the current job openings by using the All Openings filter. Every open job will list out the top candidates the school is targeting. Once the week is advanced, one of these 3 candidates will leave their current job and accept the open job. This allows you to predict which jobs may become available next week. But my big takeaway here is that when you see the top candidates, you know one of those 3 is going to be accepting. It doesn't seem there's going to be like a surprise there, which I'd like an element of surprise, but they're taking a logical route here and seeing who is the best fit. And then it seems that one of those 3 will take the job, and then openings are created afterwards. This screenshot shows a better view of the coach carousel with all these open jobs, and I'm wondering if this red bar is how well your coach fits. I'm not sure what else it would be. And then this staff moves page gives you a better detailed information on everybody's decisions. For instance, we had an OC retire, we had a DC from Tennessee go to the NFL, and a bunch of guys were hired and fired. On the right side, we see the job security, levels, defensive scheme, their alma mater, and records, including career records, record versus rivals. As a head coach, you will now have the opportunity to manage your staff and hire and fire your coordinators. Remember, our coach archetype system does not allow you to be great at everything, making who you surround yourself with that much more important. Staff management is your opportunity to build your staff the way you want in an effort to put yourself in the best position to succeed. You're fired. Managing your staff starts during conference championship week. During this week, you'll be able to fire your coordinators. Be careful because this is the only week you can do this. The evolution I'd like to see here, and I wonder how this would play out, but obviously we're getting coordinators, but it doesn't seem we're getting like position coaches. So there's no option to fire a coordinator during the season and then fill in their spot with an assistant of some sort. But this is what we've got here for this game. You have to fire him during staff week. After this week, you are unable to replace a coordinator unless they are hired away by another school. Your coordinators will not leave unless you fire them or they are hired by another school. It also seems like retiring is an option. Every coordinator has a standard 2-year contract, and once the contract expires, it's automatically renewed for 2 more. If you don't like them, you can always tell them they're fired. If your coordinator has 1 year or less remaining on their current contract, there is a chance they'll be poached and leave for another school. If this happens during the carousel, you'll have the chance to hire a replacement. Welcome to the team. Starting Bowl Week 1, you can hire new coordinators if you have an open position. When you go to hire a new coordinator, you will be presented with a curated list of candidates. These coaches are chosen for you based on the needs of your school. The logic that is used to determine the list is similar to the AI school logic determining the top candidates. When looking at a candidate, you'll see their current school, archetype, coach level, and what schools are interested in them. These are the schools you would be competing with if you made them an offer. You can also view the coach's talent tree, so you can drill down and see whether or not they would fit with your staff. What I'm wondering here is there a budget? And is there something that's going to keep you from just always chasing the top coordinators, or is there going to be some give and take? It seems that that's a core design of this system, so I would hope that there are decisions you have to make there. When you make an offer, it's not guaranteed they'll take it. You may only offer 1 coach per position each week. So you can't fill both at once then. You have to prioritize one side of the ball perhaps if you have 2 openings. Once you have offered them, they will appear in your staff management screen with an offered tag. When you advance the week and re-enter the screen, you'll find out whether or not they accepted your offer. If they did, they'll join your program after the national championship when we process all coach moves. If they rejected your offer, you'll have the opportunity to offer another coach. You will always have at least 1 coach available to hire who does not require you to compete with another school. If at the end of the carousel you have not been able to fill an open position, you will be automatically given a new coordinator on par with the caliber of your program. So you're not going to be there, it seems, with a top school and losing your coordinator and ending up with me, a completely unqualified loser of a coach. We got some more screenshots here of the staff management page, head coach, OC, DC. This one gives us the hire staff screen. Okay, so these are options for you to bring in, it looks like. All right, it looks like the next stuff gets into recruiting and the transfer portal and everything. I'm going to be making multiple videos to kind of separate the type of information I'm covering. So this one was all about coaches. There was a lot to talk about here, and I'm really excited to just interact with this and see how deep it can get in building out your coach with those abilities. And then just the coaching carousel seems a lot more interesting. And I think this is a good evolution of where a lot of these systems were in NCAA 14. What I really wanted to see with this game is not like starting over with everything, but taking everything that existed in 14 and evolving upon that. And that seems to be the overall approach. And they've stomped out some of the issues and quality of life things like, getting a level 0 coordinator at a big school after you just lost somebody, having the ability to actually choose your coordinators. And I think that the coach abilities and the archetypes are going to offer a lot more ways to customize coaches. And then when you're seeking out new coaches and looking at who's a fit, there's so much more criteria to weigh. So it's a much deeper system than we've ever interacted with before in a previous college football game, and I think this aspect is beyond what I expected. I was focused more so on the recruiting and the transfer portal, but we just spent over a half hour talking about just coaches and how that system is going to play out. But in a YouTube card, I'll post a link to the next video whenever that is up. But that is a deep look at the coaching aspect and how that works in college football 25. What do you think? Does this have the level of depth you were hoping for? Does this make you more excited for the game? What do you think? Let me know down below, everybody, and there'll be a lot more college football 25 coverage coming today and in the coming days leading up to the early release that is only 2 weeks away. Thank you for watching this video. More to come. Again, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you later, everybody. Have a good one.